Hello, friends. Welcome to Mike Inspires Me, the show about wellness, amazing people, and information to inspire you to take charge of your life and your health. We first met through our mutual admiration of fitness celebrity Gilad Janklowitz when we both went to meet him in New York City. Charlene Bazarian is a fitness and weight loss success story after nearly 100 pounds. She's an attorney and a mother of 3 active teenage boys. In her quest to figure out what really works, she began to share her thoughts and experiences with others, a practice that eventually helped her create a substantial social media following and popular blog at fbjfit.com. She's a nationally recognized personal brand appearing in both national and international magazines, including Good Housekeeping, Oxygen Magazine, Pop Sugar Fitness, and a number of other amazing magazines. She's helped inspire thousands of people on their own journeys. And in sharing her story and hard-earned experience, Charlene reminds you that dreaming big can pay off. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend and inspiration, Charlene. Well, hello there, Charlene. How you doing?
Great. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. So, we were chatting beforehand, so this kind of seems funny, doesn't it? So, yeah. Well, today I'm so glad that you were available and willing to do this. This is a great opportunity for you to be able to share your amazing story with all of both of our folks and other people out there to learn about how you took charge of your health, how you not only did that, did it with all the things that you've got going on in your life, your career, your children, family obligations, and then went on, much like me, to go on and inspiring people. So, yeah, I'd love to just, have you kind of talk about that today, and we'll go from there.
Great. Well,
so why don't we start with, growing up, did you have trouble with weight, or when did you start putting on weight?
No, I always say I grew up, I was, probably average sized, all through, middle school, high school. And then I joke that I think it started with the college freshman 15 with late night eating and, that just kind of progressed a little bit through college, but still not anything, just, I could lose 10 pounds, maybe 15, maybe more. Then I hit law school, and that was a lot of late night studying and a lot of just, reading and sitting around. And I think little by little, the physical things you did, kind of drifted off.
Right.
So it was just a lot more work, and then if you weren't working, maybe you were going out to eat, or so law school I probably put on maybe 30 more pounds, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I got married, and then I had my first son, and then that's when
it just spirals. Yeah.
That's when things went a little crazy.
It's amazing how people say it's not I've heard people talk about this. It's like, they think, you just kind of a year. It takes a while. You build up, especially when you put on that much weight. And when you finally got to that point too, you don't even realize where you are until, one day you're like, holy mackerel, how did I get here?
That's exactly it. And I think that I more than I really had a little bit of body dysmorphia going on, and then who I felt like I was in my head didn't match really reality. Over time. And I think I knew I had weight to lose. I didn't think I needed to lose half myself. That was, that kind of was a rude awakening. So
yeah. Yeah. I remember when I first heard the term morbid obese, and I was shocked. I'd never even heard the term. I don't know if you were told that too, but it's like, wow, that sounds horrible.
It was, and it's not what you envision for yourself, obviously, so that was, not something, I had never really thought that it would ever get to the point that I would be like, oh my God, I need to lose 100 pounds. That was sobering.
Now, anyone else in your family struggle with weight? If you don't mind sharing, I
don't mind. I mean, my dad passed away, probably 12 years ago, but, he was always a really big guy.
Okay.
For a big Armenian family, so it's like, everybody, a lot of things focus around food.
Yep.
So yeah, I would say, you know, that definitely something that's maybe not genetically
Right.
inclined, but, you know, certainly a struggle for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it seems common, and you bring up a good point too. That those family things. You know, I've got my mother's side of the family, typical Jewish family. You know, everything's around food too, and
Right.
you know, it was, you know, and we do have that with the weight. And my grandfather was always, come on, eat.
Right. I mean, I always say in my family, food means love, you know, so it's like,
Yep.
you know, people bring you food, you bring food when you go somewhere, you eat. It's always a very food-focused, you know, get-together.
Right,
And
which is good in some ways, but not too, you know, when it gets overboard.
right. And I think I tried to, you know, when I was really trying my best to be diligent about my weight loss, that, you know, that kind of came up, and how difficult that is to navigate situations when, you know, when you're not in your own home, or you're not, you know,
Yeah.
around people who share the same goals or understand
Yep.
what it is you're trying to do.
That is a challenge. Yeah, and even living in a household, I wonder, and we could talk about that a little bit when we talk about your transition, but I wonder too, because I struggled with being in a household where nobody else was doing it every day.
Right.
So,
Well, with kids, stuff that's very difficult, because I try not to jade what they think of food or how their relationship with food is, but I also try to make them aware of choices. So I didn't throw them up to be like, you know, you can't eat that, that's a bad food, that's not a healthy choice. I always just tried to really teach them that, you know, that's not a choice, an all the time choice, or that's not something, you know, that, you know, I never was in terms of like never have that. And I'm always most proud of the fact that they grew up not drinking soda. And it was funny, because when they first asked to try it, I gave them like some flat Diet Coke, and they were like, "This is disgusting." And I said, "Well, I guess you don't like soda." You know?
Oh, that's hilarious.
So you're not going to give them orange soda or something that they would actually really, you know. So for, I mean, really years and years, you know. Now my kids are teenagers now, and they still don't really drink soda. So that was to me that was a little win. You know?
No, but I definitely see, I see a lot of your posts, and I do see a balance too with the health. And then I see, you know, there's, you know, they want to enjoy things. Like I see your son's, that milkshake challenge you do. That's so cute.
We've called it the hashtag milkshake tour, and he's trying to find the best milkshake, and it has now gone to several states. And so, we take pictures of these outrageous milkshakes, and I get to go along for the, for the ride, so to speak.
Oh my God. That would kill me. I love milkshakes.
Yeah, and I mean, and you've seen the pictures of the ones he gravitates to. They're very decorative and fancy, and it's been but it's funny, because it's like, you know, here I have a following from my fitness and health thing, and he's starting to get his own little awareness for his milkshake tour.
Yeah, I kind of like the opposite here, right?
Right.
That's hilarious. No, but it's a good thing, and like you said, you got to have balance too, and so it's good. Your food is enjoyable. I mean, we you know, I tell people, just because I lost all the weight that I did, it's not like I stopped loving. I always use cake, but cake's probably the best example. I don't stop loving those things. You just got to have balance, you know.
Well, I always try to say that when people, I could never eat like you do, and I always say I enjoy my food, and I always give the example of how, like, and I got somehow I'm going to say orange soda again, but when you know, if you're growing up and you drank orange soda as a kid, you probably never envisioned that you'd ever drink coffee and love and grow to love it, or wine, or you know, you know, something different. And I said, and so I think that if you give yourself time to acclimate to new tastes. You know, sometimes I look at some of the foods I used to eat, and I don't still love them. I'm like, oh, I would feel really, you know, sluggish and miserable if I ate that. I know, not just that I would feel guilty or bad, or that, oh, I ate too much, but that I physically wouldn't feel well. You know, that just kind of food doesn't fit right with me anymore.
That mind-body connection is helpful, isn't it? It really is. And it goes both ways. Like, you can eat something and it makes you feel good. It may not have, like broccoli, and you're like, oh, I never thought I liked broccoli. And now you love it because you feel good.
Well, it is really funny, because I always say that for some reason, you know, when you work out, you always feel great afterwards, but yet you never can channel that feeling before you start. And food, you can eat certain foods and then feel terrible the next day, or like puffy, and, you know, like, you're like, why did I eat that? But for some reason you can't, you know, you definitely don't channel that part before either, you know, so it doesn't stop you sometimes from going down that road. You know, in my story, you know, we've talked about, you know, how it all started for me, but I went to a spa for a day of beauty, and and the receptionist gave me the one-size-fits-all robe, and then I went to the dressing room, and and it didn't fit, and then I had to go back to the desk, and she was really really rude to me about it, and just made me keep repeating it. And she was like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" And then I had to say it again, and I had to, "Do you have a larger robe?" And this was supposed to be this treat day to myself, and then ended up the whole day was ruined for me. And
you basically having to just expose yourself. I'm too fat to fit in your robe.
Right.
So,
right. And it was, and of course, at the time, she looked like she weighed 80 pounds, soaking wet, so it was just one of those awful moments that stuck with me. But I'm always kind of conflicted because while she was terrible and it was a miserable experience, that that changed the trajectory of my life. I went to the dressing room and after that interchange and said, I never want to feel like that again. And I just refuse to ever let myself feel like that again. And so that's why, no matter how many times people would be like, "Oh, just have a little," or "Oh, fun and just come on, eat that, eat with us," I'd be like, "No, I just can't do that."
I care about myself now. I care about my health. You brought up something that I keep consistently when I talk to people is so important. Where people can't, it's the why. And you and I've talked, and sometimes I think you've downplayed it, and the more I listen to it, it is significant. In what happened because it. Okay, so it was an aesthetic thing at first. You didn't want to not fit in clothes like that. You didn't want to be humiliated. You didn't want to feel like that. But you saved your life in the end. And
I say that too. I said, people, I think they feel selfish when they take time out for themselves to take care of themselves. Right. And I always try to say, you're actually doing everyone that loves you a colossal favor by taking care of yourself. They want you to be there for them. They want you to be healthy. They want you to be with them and enjoying life with them for as long as possible. So that's why I always, and it took a while, I think, when I first started working out as diligently as I do, for people to be like, Charlene. I was like, no, when I'm done, or Mom, or, and so now, but now, all this time later, people know that's just she's going to do that, and then
you got to do it right.
The other things when she's done, and sometimes you break your workout. I always say I try to do the morning workout. I call that my insurance workout, so that at least if something goes wrong that day, I got something in. Yep. But if I do need to break it into segments of a little here, a little there, that's fine too. And
flexibility,
yeah. And I try to do my little rule with myself is that. I have to DVR my favorite programs, and if I want to watch, I have to hop on the bike to watch them. And I only make exceptions for the Super Bowl or those family movies if we watch together. Otherwise, so whenever people say, "Oh, you should watch this show," I'm like, "No, I can't work another one in right now."
No, you got to know your limits. So I know. I follow a lot of you've got a lot of great, thoughtful ideas and principles that you use, and they're awesome. I think they work well. You share them with people, and I love the one you always say about you're never. Let's see if I can say it right. You're never as busy as a fit.
No, you're no busier than a fit
person. Yes. Yeah, and
I think that people love to tell you how busy they are. I think that comes up in conversation, and we do.
And why I can't, right? Why I can't do it. Yeah.
And I always try to tell people that you'd be surprised how much more you're able to do when you make time to do that. I feel like I call my morning workouts my coffee before my coffee. I feel more focused, more centered, more, ready to take things on. And I actually tell myself sometimes, because I always say that I think that the most difficult thing, I know we both lost our dads, and that was a really, really difficult time. And for me, even when he was sick and I was caring for him, I would tell myself, when I would work out early in the morning, I'm giving myself the strength I'm going to need to handle this because, this is not going to be something, I will need to be strong. And I just kept telling myself that. So, even though it's kind of a different kind of strength, that's what I would tell myself.
Wow. Yeah, you do need that. It helps you kind of reflect. But, there's so much positive that I think people look at all the work. They look at all it's so hard and this and that, and you're giving up, you're sacrificing. I remember one day one of my coworkers said to me, he'll probably listen to this one day too. He said, I passed on some donuts, and he's like, he goes, maintenance is a bitch, Mike? And I said, I don't really see this as like a sacrifice, man. I kind of like being healthy.
Right. See, what I find that is people always say, I don't want to deprive myself. And I always think it's funny that they use that in terms of passing up a treat. And I'm like, you think you're depriving yourself if you don't eat the donut, but you're not depriving yourself of being active or being able to move well or being comfortable in your own skin or looking better or like that. For some reason, nobody seems to feel deprived of that. And that's what the one message I try to get across. I always say it's not about, never having a cupcake. It's about not always having a cupcake.
Yeah. Well, we could have a whole other subject with me. I'm a notorious binge eater, so that's a whole other. But I agree with you. I agree.
I share that because I say that for me, sometimes when people always say everything in moderation or it's all about balance, I know for myself, there are some foods that I can't have a little of, so I'm much better off just not having them.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
My joke on my FBJ Fit page is the golden Oreo. I call it the crack of the cookie world.
You like those, huh?
God help me if I have one. I just can't, like there's, so
It's like food porn. I said this the other day with somebody, and it's weird to say it like that, but there's this pleasure that you get from it that's just so deep and satisfying. And it's that sugar. It's that crunch. It's
instantaneous, and then it's as bad when it's over. Then I feel like you're left in a
I'm sorry.
covered in crumbs, wondering what happened.
I don't know. We got to be able to do it and not have regret. I mean, we work so hard. I mean, on the other hand, I hate it when people offer me a second piece of cheesecake and go, you earned it.
Right. Oh, no, I always say, like, there are people now, I've kept the weight off so long that there are people who never knew I was heavy, which I don't know how because I talk about it all the time. But, they always try to say, you can eat whatever you want. And I always reply with, how I can eat whatever I want because I never eat whatever I want. But I do try to, give hope to people in that now that I'm in my range, I give myself, 2 to 3 pounds of wiggle room. And I call it the worth it. I call it if it's something that it's like, if you're in New York and you want to try the cheesecake, because that's the thing they're known for, well then, okay. Or you go into a restaurant and that's a special, but there are plenty of times I have eaten things and then I'm like, that was just not worth it. And that's when I feel like that's when I'm regretful. I'm like, why did it, it was a gross brownie or
it happens, right? Yeah, I just wasted those calories. Yeah, I'm kind of like that, when I stopped drinking too. I was like, mostly because I also overindulge in that, but also now I kind of like, I don't want to drink my calories. I'd rather eat them.
Well, yeah, so I feel very, because I do a lot with, since I started having Fidvine wine, and so for me, that was nice to have an option that was less calories, less sugar, less carbs. That I can have, because my line is always vodka leads to Oreos, so I'm lucky that I'm very happy to have the wine choice when I do want to have that. And again, that's when I'm in my range thing. If I creep out of my range, well then I reel back on even that, because those have to be those I call them the earned treats.
I love it. Hey, so let's take a step back. So we've talked about that moment when you were at the spa, you've had that moment where, okay, I got to do something. So how did you start? What did you, what were some of your first steps? Did you start right away or did you look at the program?
I came home and I was just like, that's the end of that. And I think that a lot of people up until that point, I think I always used to say, and people say it to me too and it makes me crazy, I know what to do, I just don't do it. And I'm like, I think I thought I knew what to do. And and I look back at the things I would think well, I would get a bagel and that's what people eat for breakfast, or I would get a chicken Caesar salad and think that was I got salad for dinner, and then you realize how many the fat and calorie content in a restaurant chicken Caesar salad, you might as well have gotten the burger and fries. But so I think when I first started, I really I called it I used to have a friend that listened to the Tony Robbins tapes. They would say things like if you wanted to have success, follow someone that's successful at what you want to be successful at and mimic what they do. And so I think when I first started, I said, I'm going to do everything I think a fit person does. And so I tried protein bars and protein shakes, and I got workout videos and different things, and I read, subscribed to fitness magazines. And so I just tried to learn as much as I could and tried to do the things that, I thought that they would do.
So you were really on your own though. That's the interesting thing. Much like me, you kind of were experimenting. It's not like you went to a weight loss coach or you went to a program or anything else. You were trying to figure it out.
Well, because I had failed at everything. I mean, up on that 100-pound climb, I say I've done everything from Atkins to Weight Watchers. I tried and everything in between. And I'd like to think I learned a little bit. You know, I mean, I do have little things that I kept from each thing. Like I drink this cran water that was from the Fat Flush diet. I have a soup recipe that I got from that. I have, you know, I always joke about avoid the BLTs, the bites, licks, tastes, and then I added sips. And, you know, and that was from Diet Workshop when the instructor said, you know, a lot of people aren't counting every calorie. Even when they think they are you licking the knife after you make a peanut butter sandwich? That could add 90 calories. Are you eating your kids on pizza crust? Are you, you know, and then things like that. That really stuck with me is that how many times do you take a bite of something or you just like,
right now, I'm writing down BLT right now, Charlene. Right. I'm notorious with that one too. Oh. Right.
So those are little things I picked up along the way. And then I think what I necessarily started doing, I don't do now. Like, you know, I think at the beginning I wasn't paying attention to if it had artificial sweeteners or if I was really all about calories at the very beginning.
Yep.
And you know, and now I'm totally, you know, that now it's not all calories and equal. I don't do any artificial sweeteners, and I'd rather have a smidge of organic cane sugar in my coffee than none, because it would make me crazy. I always say you have to pick what you can live with. Right. And you know, certain things I could give up, certain things I couldn't. I tried a million things in my coffee, and that just didn't work for me other than a little bit of sugar, you know, and I do the organic cane sugar and a little bit of light cream. But that's very different than the extra I used to do.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was talking to a doctor. Actually, he's going to be doing an interview with me shortly, and he was telling me, he's like, Mike, you know, you can't, if you micromanage it to death at a certain point, you know, and you don't have, you try to be perfect with your coffee, try to be perfect with all these other things, you're not enjoying life. Food is something, you know, we are supposed to enjoy. Yes, it's fuel, but we can't, and if you enjoy a little sugar in your coffee, I mean, like you said, you're not going to die from one cigarette, and you're not going to die from just a little sweetener in your sugar.
That's exactly it. So like
I used to put 6 in mine.
Right. So like, I choose the things that that make me you know, satisfied and happy versus the things that, you know, and other than that, I do try to cut down, you know, for the most part for me, I try to avoid, I always say the starchy carbs or what, and I think, you know, I don't know if that was your downfall, but for me, and I think a lot of women, they gravitate much more towards the breads and pastas.
I love bread.
And the rice, and so I swapped that out with, you know, the complex carbs of brown rice and sweet potatoes, and I try not to have, you know, I mean, I don't think I could ever do keto or Atkins again. Like, I know that you need complex carbs to stay sane, you know, you know, and something that you can live with. And I think that I've seen too many people, you know, when you and I talk, I think I am most proud of us, like in our stories, because we actually kept it off. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people really struggle. I see a lot of stories where people lose a lot of weight.
I know a few personally. Actually, I know some that's gotten national recognition too. I feel bad, you know, and, you know, and then it's like they're going, I don't know what's going on. But, you know, I think the hardest part, you deal with a lot of people like me, is they think that it's a linear path, but you slip up and it's okay. I mean, you're going to gain a few pounds. You're going to binge. You're going to do whatever your problem is. Sometimes you're going to have to accept that it's lifelong, that we got to deal with this. And I think that's the other. Yeah, you don't just lose weight and it's ta-da, I'm done.
Yeah. In fact, I always say that I think that that's the mentality that gets people in trouble, is that they think that there's a finish line, or I'm done now and I can go back to doing what, you know, like what I want to do. And I mean, there's not one part of me that, you know, I always say, you know, like when they talk about people who don't drink, you know, if they're an alcoholic, they say, oh, they're one drink away from being a drunk. And I always think I'm a few bad choices away, you know, like I realize tomorrow can turn into never, and I don't take that for granted. You know, that's why I still write my workouts on my list of things to do every day, and that's why. And I think, you know, doing my blog and talking to other people, you know, like I love hearing that I help people and that something about my story resonated with them. But I honestly think that you know, it keeps me clean and on the straight and narrow too. I was at a kid's party one time, And I was laughing because I said, now my blog is, and my pages, I have enough followers that I don't know I don't always know people that follow me. And so when I was at this party and this woman said, oh, I follow your page. And I started laughing because I said, well, good thing I was having the salad because, everyone else was eating pizza. And it's just a funny thing that,
I actually had a similar thing, but I was not eating good. I'm an 80% guy, so I during the week I stay pretty clean eating. In fact, I eat sort of, I'm going to say vegan during lunch at work, but on the weekends, I felt like eating a chicken. Well, I don't know what it was, a chicken Parmesan sandwich. My friend was like, "I was surprised to see you eat that." I'm like, "It's food, man. Not worried about it, And do I eat it all the time? No.
No, I like I said, I totally pick and choose do I want the glass of wine on the weekend? Do I want what treats are worth, and I look at them in terms of what, and I always say, healthy food is not tasty. If I go for lobster, if I go for grilled shrimp, if I go, that's delicious. So there's no shame in that, it's not like, oh, I'm sitting here with my lettuce leaf and you're,
I tell you, Terry and I made a nice, soup the other day. It was an all veggie soup, and you put the right spices in it. I think we put black beans and just all kinds of veggies, and it's like oh my gosh, soup can be just, and especially when you make it yourself, you control the ingredients, you control the
restaurants put so much sodium in it. In fact,
exactly.
I do a chicken soup, and then I do that recipe that I said that was the fat flush soup, and I love that they both freeze really well. So on the nights when you don't feel like cooking, and just take it out and it's good to go.
You don't want to hear me. I just listened to a podcast on Dr. David Freeman. He interviewed a doctor who is talking about we don't get enough sodium. And I have to tell you, you're going to step back, but when you listen to it, you're like, mind blown. It's weird.
Before I adopted a healthier lifestyle in general, I salted everything.
Yeah.
And I don't avoid salts because I do think you do need,
especially when you sweat and workouts and those type of things.
But I certainly don't salt the way that because I've really learned to enjoy the taste of food.
Yep.
So,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. A cucumber, taste a cucumber for a cucumber, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Not a salt transportation device.
Although I like to dip mine in a little hummus and salsa. That's my.
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right. So you've started changing some of your habits. You're starting. You're starting to see some changes, right? At some point, or as you were making changes. I mean, like for me, when I first started my journey, I didn't see a lot of physical changes right away, but I was more establishing habits. And then eventually, like, boom, it started to come off. So was there a point where you didn't see nothing and then it just started to fly? You're like, whoa, I'm losing weight.
Yeah, what I started to do was I always say that I broke it down because I got overwhelmed thinking I need to lose almost 100 pounds. So I used to set little 5-pound goals. And then what I would do is I was really kind of strict with myself because I said some people, when you lose a little bit of weight, you can feel very comfortable. And I said, I remember, like, I went to a friend's wedding, and I had lost 50 pounds, and 50 pounds was a lot of weight to lose.
As I said, you're afraid.
I went in this floral dress, and I was like, oh, my God, I felt so good at that. I remember feeling good. Yeah. And then now I look at that picture and I'm like, oh my God, you still had so much to go. And not that you don't celebrate the victory as you're going, as you're going down, but it's very easy to start to feel like, oh my God, I lost 50 pounds. I feel so much better. And, and I wouldn't let myself buy a lot of clothes on the way down the scale. I kept it to very simple clothes, and I kept saying to myself, I'm not staying this size. I don't need to invest a lot here.
I was buying at thrift stores. That's what I did. Yeah.
And I was like really, and I limited it to one pair of jeans, one pair of black pants, really simple, because I just kept saying, I'm not staying here. I don't need to invest in this. And I would, every 5 or 10 pounds, I would do some little thing to celebrate that was not food related, like maybe get a manicure or massage. I don't know, something fun. It was just a reward for me. And that's
important. That's, and it's really sad. I didn't do a lot. I did, when I lost 100 pounds, I think I bought myself a watch. It was a fitness watch. And I think the 200 pound, I bought another fitness watch. But it is important for people to celebrate. That's a good point, Charlene.
Yeah, I just thought that I was going to get a new wardrobe, because obviously I needed one at that point.
Yeah.
And I have to say, sometimes if you have a lot, that's a huge expense at some point,
Yeah.
to rebuy everything that, in smaller sizes. So, and then I think there's a tendency for people to go crazy shopping when they're at their
Hmm.
smallest size. And
Well,
then,
because now you can suddenly buy things you never were able to buy before.
right.
I remember, because I was up to about a 4 or 5X, and they don't carry that pretty commonly anywhere. Certainly not. Like I've been going crazy with my friends' band T-shirts. I have so many, and I haven't even worn. I've bought so many, but I just like, oh my gosh, I can wear large now.
Right. Yeah. No. It is, and it's so funny because there are times when I was first had lost it, that you just gravitate to a size thinking that's what size you are, and you're not. So that's and I always say that the counterpart to my spa story was one time I tried on a pair of pants, and the sales girl said, "Do you need me to get you those in another size?" And I said, "No, they don't fit." And she's like, "Well, I can get another size." And I said, "Nope, this is the smallest size, and they're too big."
Wow.
And that was a great feeling. Not that you're trying to, but they
No,
were.
but I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's weird. To go from two extremes is kind of strange, isn't it? To go from being very, very large to being very, very fit. Like you and I have that story too. They're very similar, living at two extremes.
Right. And I think I think that when people take advice from us or like look to us for inspiration, I think it's because they saw that that we did that. And I think there were plenty of fit people that give advice. I just think that I think it hits home with people that we understand the frustration, the struggle, and I always try to tell people I don't forget how that felt, and I never make it seem like it's easy,
No.
or it's just not,
No. The journey, in some ways, I say the journey down was easier than maintenance now, maintaining all these years.
Right.
You've been going, now so we're kind of shifting forward real quick. You've been maintaining for quite a while now.
Yeah, I've had, but I had a couple of kids over the process, so that's always tricky when people say, well, like, how long did it take you? And I said, well, because at one point I decided to have other kids, and and I was running out of time. So, but no, since I've kept it off now, well over 12 years.
That's enormous. I mean, that's the thing I think you see a lot of these weight loss, and you and I talked about it because I remember you tried to help me get a story out with this one guy, and he didn't want to talk to me because I had been my story was too long ago, and I'm thinking, but that's what you want to tell people, that I've been maintaining all these.
I totally, and that's so frustrating because I know even when I've done stories, like everybody wants like it to be like a new thing. And
recent weight loss, it's like no.
I really think after that Biggest Loser, when they were going back to revisit the past winners and how many of them gained it back, or like just in general, how many people lose weight and then put it back on again. But you're right. I think that the thing to do is like, why not talk to people who have lost it and kept it off, and what did they do different?
Well, that's where I'm leading. So here, I don't know if we'll be able to do this here, but we could start something I like to talk with you about. And this, I think, is going to be key for some of our listeners. There are common things, and I'm sure you know, that we know you and I do and some of our other counterparts do, that are just themes, okay? Like, I'll give you an example. Food prep. I consistently see that amongst all people who are healthy, and especially people like us.
Right.
Routine is key.
Like, you really have to plan. And I always one of my tips is always, if you are going out to eat, check the menu online before you leave. I mean, know what you're going to order, so that way when the waiter comes over,
my gosh,
going with the special that is not special.
That's a great one. I can remember, at my job, it becomes an issue sometimes. I'm trying to loosen up about it, but like, they're deciding to go out for pizza, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want all the carbs today, and pizza crust. And then as I look at the menu, it's like, okay, they got a salad, maybe I'll, because some days I don't want to, especially during the week. I try to stay a little cleaner during the week.
Yes, I do too, because I'd rather have the splurge on the weekend myself.
Yeah, you know how it is. Yeah, you're out with your friend or whatever you're doing, family, and you want to loosen up. So, all right, so we've named certainly the food prep, certainly that, but I think there's other key things that we can come up with and talk with folks. But there are, I think, consistent themes in people who not only are able to lose the weight but maintain it. And that's the thing I think is going to be helpful for people in terms of, because I think anybody can lose weight. We see it happen all the time. Like you said, the biggest loser. But why didn't they keep it off? I think you and I we kind of know. I mean, my first question is, well, what did they do after, right? Did they go,
right.
Did they?
I also think how you lose it. I think how you lose it matters. I think everybody wants to lose weight really, really quickly, and I think that I always say I didn't gain 100 pounds overnight, and I didn't lose it that way either. I think a couple pounds a week is a reasonable. 2 to 3 pounds is reasonable. I think obviously more at the beginning because you have more to lose, and the last pounds are always the trickiest. And you have to find where to stop sometimes. I think that when I first lost weight, I think I was happy, but a few people were like, well, you might have gone a little bit too thick,
Oh yeah, you got that don't get too skinny crap?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that took a little bit of tweaking, and because I said I never wanted to be, skin and bones. Like I didn't want to be skinny. Like that was never like, I
know, but it seems like they're more concerned about that than like, well, where were you when I was too fat?
Well, that is really funny because I said I follow a couple of other fitness people, like, and one girl had said how, she hadn't gotten on the scale lately and was surprised that it kind of bumped up a little bit. And then someone, kind of chastised her saying, that sets up eating disorder mentality and, you shouldn't really talk about that. And I thought that was so funny because it's like, no one will say anything to you when you're like, they won't. Maybe maybe they do behind your back, but nobody says if you order something, you shouldn't have that. But I just think, I don't know when scale got to be a 4-letter word. I mean, for me, I use it as a tool. It's one of the tools I use, whether, it doesn't tell me my body fat percentage necessarily. It doesn't tell me how my clothes are fitting. It doesn't ruin my day. It doesn't make my day.
It certainly doesn't measure your overall health.
For me, I had a total disconnect from what I actually weighed to what I felt I weighed. So I use it to just, okay, let's just do a little reality check here and see where we're falling.
Yeah, it's a tricky, especially folks that have eating disorders. I know myself, I use it occasionally. I try to stay away from the scale just because, plus I lift weights and I put on quite a bit of muscle mass now. And I gained weight after and a lot of it was muscle.
Same thing. If you
you hit the gym pretty good too. So I tell you.
I found weight training so much different than cardio or just things I used to do to exercise. And that was like, we both found Gilad and Bodies in Motion. And so that's what started. I was a home video workout fanatic. I loved all the DVDs. I used his and Kathy Friedrich.
Come on, you had all the VHSs like me, didn't you?
I do, and now I have all the all the DVDs, and I'm laughing because now it's all going to download. I'm like, I can't keep up with this.
I know. I had one Gilad VHS. Yeah, well, why don't we real quick? We kind of touched on that. So, guys, the way Charlene and I met, we've been following Gilad Janklowitz. He is the fitness guru of the long-running ESPN show Bodies in Motion. It's a aerobics show that ran on ESPN. Boy, it started, in the late 80s, didn't it, Charlene?
Right.
Around there. And I probably started watching it not too long after that. And I just liked the guy. He came out, he had a little bit of the Israeli accent, and he was a cool-looking dude. He was buff. He was funny. And I got hooked.
Very easy personality, and he made the time go by quickly.
Yeah, and it's just his moves weren't. Back in those days too, we had a lot of those big aerobics were becoming big, and some of them were a little too dancey. And I liked his because guys could do it, and it was the first time I saw a lot of guys, masculine guys, up there working out. Exactly.
And the girls, it was always on the beach.
Oh, the sexy girls in the back.
and it looked beautiful, and it was fun. It was fun to do, and I think that was kind of my first exposure into doing anything with weights.
Yep.
And that was life changing, like that really, really building muscle. And I always say you can eat more because you build more muscle mass and you burn more calories.
That's always nice, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a good thing. And then eventually, I learned, I always say to most women, I think really, I call them the weenie weights, and they really try to go for the really light weights. And I'm like, heavy weights do wonderful things for you. And they don't want to bulk up. I'm like, if it was that easy to do,
trust me, my gosh,
more men would look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. I'm finally at that age where it's like, okay, it is hard to put on muscle. It's really hard. But back to our story, real quick. So Charlene and I have always been admired Gilad, and we had an opportunity. It was a chance meeting, and neither of us knew that this would happen, obviously, because we didn't know each other. there was a fitness event going on in New York City. It was called the ECA 360 Fitness Inspire. Boy, I don't even know where I pulled that out, Charlene, but I remember
I was going to say, great memory. Great memory, because it was such a life-changing moment. Yeah. It was very fun. So that to get invited, they wanted to film us.
Yep.
You know, meeting him, and we were like, okay, let's make that happen. And so while we were there that day, we got to meet each other, and it was like kindred spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool when you get to meet somebody who's been through a life-changing experience like that. Plus, we had the mutual admiration of Gilad, but it was kind of like, hey, we're close in age, and it's like, you did the same thing I did. That's really awesome.
It was, and especially because I think when you realize someone you kind of was on a similar path and understands what it was hard not to be admiring too, and it was and meeting Gilad was like, it was so funny because they said when you did his workouts as often as we did, you probably felt the same way. It was like meeting a friend you already knew.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. I mean, I remember the first time I talked to him on the phone, it was a little weird, but then now it's kind of like, oh, I know this dude.
Right. And then, so I it was just very fun to do. And then and now I do feel like we're all friends, and so that's a great that was a really great experience and so much fun. And I was like a schoolgirl giggling, like, like,
oh my gosh, yeah, hey, listen, I was too, and I remember when he first told me, he's like, oh, you're a really handsome guy, and I said to Terry, I'm like, my gosh, that's almost as good as hearing it from a woman.
I know, right. I got to meet Julian Michaels once too, and I was laughing because she said, you don't look like you've ever been heavy, and I was like, that's
oh
so
my gosh,
sweet.
yeah, I know, oh my gosh, and that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was really fun too. But that was great, and so he's been such a great support.
Yeah, and we both kept in touch with him. I know you've done a little work with him. I just spoke to him. Wasn't last week, but the week prior, because we're hoping to get him on the show soon here. And so he's been in Israel because as you know, Charlene, his mother passed away, and he's been taking care of matters over there. I think he's going to be coming back stateside soon. But yeah, we've kept in touch with him, and we kept in touch with each other. And Charlene and I have been, kind of bouncing stuff off each other, ideas, trying to think of ideas how we can get out. We both have this mutual admiration for helping folks, take charge of their health too.
Well, it is pretty amazing because, like I said, my story, has ended up in crazy places. I mean, it was in Good Housekeeping, First for Women magazine. It was in Oxygen. It was in Pop Sugar Fitness. But I think
some European places and all kinds of places.
It pops up wherever. But the funniest thing for me was I did an article for an interview with Women's Health, and it got picked up sometimes they get picked up by one place. It gets picked up by a lot of places. So it was on these news channels and different sites. And so I was on a cruise in Bermuda, and my accountant emailed me, and he took a screenshot, and he said, I opened MSN, and there you were on the landing page. And I mean, it was hysterical because it was this huge picture. And so he's like, oh, you're a star. And I said, I wish being a star paid better.
I know.
Typical accountant humor, he says.
Oh, my God.
You have to pay.
Well, there's that too, right? Oh, my gosh. It's weird. Yeah, I had that experience too. My story ended up, USA Today grabbed my video of my mom seeing me, and I didn't even know. Some guy that I used to work with, living down in North Carolina, he saw me. He goes, I saw your video on USA Today, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's incredible. I know because I've seen that and I've had millions of views. That's incredible.
I was just, but I didn't even know it was out there. It was just weird. Like millions of people know me, and I don't even know. But they didn't put my name on it either, too. So
it is funny though, because it's like when they put your name and they put your information in the story. I've read some of the comments, and it's hysterical. Most of the time, people are very encouraging and supportive, but there are people. That's not her.
He had surgery.
Or big deal, or she was, one guy said she was prettier before. I said, oh my God, So it's very funny. You have to have a very thick skin because it's and sometimes what you say to people. I always say, listen, I freely give advice and inspiration, but I really try to just inspire people to find what works for them because not the same thing works for everyone else. I tell anyone on my FBJ Fit pages that, I will tell you what I did. I wrote it all out. I have recipes. Right. I have, my shopping list that I make suggestions for, but this is what, what I could live with and what works for me.
Charlene, I love that. That's exactly, thank you. Girl, I love you. You're just so awesome. You said something that I exactly say all the time. We do this business, we share with people, but it's not necessary. We just want to inspire folks to do something, to get healthy. Here's some ideas about what you do, but it may not be right for me. It might not be right for you. But
exactly.
But it gives you ideas. You got to experiment. Like you said, you experimented a few times. You tried different things. You got to figure it out.
You see what works and what, and what doesn't. And, mostly like my stories, like when I write on my blog, usually it's a story that almost sounds like it has nothing to do with fitness. And then somehow the more, like I have one that's one of my favorites that talks about going back to a high school reunion, and it kind of comes back around so that your story isn't being, done being told yet, and that it's not too late. And I think a lot of people just think, I'm getting older, it's genetic, this just happens, and it doesn't have to be that way.
I don't know what that person was talking about, the before and after. Charlene, you look like you went back in time.
Well,
fantastic. And I'm not saying, I mean that. I really mean it. You've done a great job but it's, more so, obviously your health, but yes, physically you've transformed too. And so the thing that I like, and I always see with people, and I see definitely in your pictures and your face, is just, you're happy, you're full of life. That's probably, that's hard. You can't buy that.
No, and you can't describe it to people that maybe aren't at a point where they understand it yet. But I look back and I found, when I went after my spa day, I said I really examined my life and thought I'm a spectator in everything I do. I watch a movie, I watch TV, I watch a sporting event. I'm watching everyone else live again, and eating was your social activity.
But you weren't living, really. You were just alive.
And I'm so glad. I feel like now I'm a participant in things. I go for a bike ride. I'm walking. I'm working out. I'm going. I'm doing something. You
are the go woman of everything. I'm amazed. So, guys, this woman does amazing. Mother of 3, and then well, I guess you're still an attorney, but you're not practicing anymore, right?
I'm actually winding down my practice because I've decided I've been writing for Women's Fitness. I've been writing for my FBJFit.com blog. I've been trying to really do more, more of this, and I've done.
What about the DJ business? Do you still do that?
I still run that. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I actually do a little bit of social media work for people because I clearly seem to have
a
gift.
This is a go woman. She's taking care of a sick family member. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And yet you still put who first. You have to put who first.
Right.
You. And that's the thing. Because you're no good to any of these obligations unless you're healthy and fit, body, mind, and spirit.
It's true. It really is, and it's the greatest gift that you give to yourself, to just really value yourself enough to take care of yourself. And I always try to give the example of if you had a fancy sports car, would you park it in dangerous places? Would you put cheap gas in it? No, you would not. You would take, and so this is your body. You always gotta value that for the amazing thing that it can be.
But people do. I watched my father do that. He put more effort into, his cars, put good oil, good gas, things like that. But then, he smoked, he ate poorly, and people do. They'll put more into, sometimes they feed their dogs better.
No, that's true. That's true. They would make sure their dog went for a walk more than that they would. And so, like I said, that's basically what I try to do is just really, what really brings me joy is I have heard from people, they've written me letters from around the world. I saw your story here. I read your blog. I did that, and something you said, it sparked my aha moment. And you hit one woman wrote to me from Peru and said she lost 60 pounds, and it was really funny. She was just like, would Charlene eat this? And I'm like, oh my God!
We need a shirt with that, right?
It was very funny to think that somebody in Peru is modifying their diet because of something I said, and I take that responsibility very seriously.
I was doing a hike with Mike, and a guy was writing to me, and he says, "Do you speak?" He said, "Bonjour," and I said, "Bonjour." And I said, "Where are you?" He goes, "Algeria." I was like, "Wait, isn't that in Northern Africa?" And I'm like, wow. It is weird because, now with the internet, we are a small world.
It is really, my story was on Extra in the Czech Republic. And it was like it was on a German magazine called.
I think I got to look that up. I got to see that.
It was really funny, and I'm trying to translate, and all it was just like it's very funny. It's been in really strange. I've seen it in Chinese. I've seen it in it's been in a lot of places, and especially I think when it hits certain public. I always say when it was in Good Housekeeping, that just went to such a huge platform of people. And I heard from people, that's what really started my FBJ Fit page, because so many people were messaging on me on social media. I just created a page, so that I could, kind of address it there rather than tying up my personal page with it. And so that's, I try to post there, and then how it is. Then you got to do Instagram and YouTube and everything else.
Oh, yeah, the whole gamut. Yeah, it's a full-time job, too, keeping up with it. But, I think for folks like us, we understand that, I said this to somebody, all of this is bigger than us. We understand the obligation. For me, and it sounds like for you too, the more we do this, like inspire people, the more we share, the more it helps us stay honest, not just as a role model, but just you walk the walk that you talk.
Sure. Yes. Because I know it would be. I can't even imagine if I started to backslide like that. People would like they look to you for hope. I think and that's what I try to say. I think that I just show it's possible, and there was nothing special, there was nothing magical. It was just I would say it was as easy and as hard as
your work that took us off. But here's the thing, Charlene. I wonder about this. So for myself and for you, inspiring people kind of gives us fuel. I actually wrote an article called that. But for the person that maybe just wants to get healthy, what's going to keep them there? And that's the thing. And I think the biggest thing is they got to do it for themselves. They really got to think about, you and I definitely do it for ourselves. I think if I quit today going out on social media and sharing my story and talking to people, I don't think I could, but if I did, I'd still want to do this for myself. But I think that's what people really need to focus on. I don't want people, sometimes I wonder if the key is, I think there is an aspect you've got to share it with people, but it's not always easy to share that, you have an eating disorder, that you were once really, really heavy, or, people don't want to share personal aspect or the emotional stuff we go through.
And what's really funny is because I've seen people, my story's been in magazines, and there have been people that I've actually, said in front of me, I can't believe you let that awful picture of you go in a national magazine for the before picture. And I think to myself, I walked around in the world. I was not hidden away in my room.
I know, it's terrible to say. Oh my God. Is that the picture you sent me earlier? That one?
Well, I just think it's hysterical. I'm just like, you didn't say anything to me, but like you didn't say, oh my God, you're hideous, when you were like, you knew me then.
I don't know what you were hideous. You were cute.
No, but I'm just saying, I think it's funny that the reaction is, how could you let them? I would never do that. And I'm like, I'm proud of my accomplishment, and I don't ever. In fact, I'm frustrated that I don't have more before pictures. But I say this to my followers all the time. If you are starting, take as many pictures as you can. I said, because what happens is, when you're heavy, you tend to be behind someone else in a picture. You have a kid on your lap. You're the one taking the photos, and
or
so
hiding.
you're not,
or avoiding.
You're avoiding it. And I know I always have it like I'm in a group of people. I'm kind of standing sideways, and I wish I had more photos to really see. I know that before picture, while that was right around the spa time, was not my worst. And I'm like, but there were times you're not taking pictures at that point.
I think it's kind of funny. It's funny. It's like, people said that too. It's like, I look at my old pictures. I was a good looking guy. I was just really, really big, and it's like, I look back on it. I said, my problem was I didn't feel ugly. I just wasn't healthy, and I was, really, really big. And it's, back even when I was heavy, I'd get comments from people, you're such a good looking man, but you really should lose weight. And it's amazing,
Yeah.
I guess there were times people did tell me I should lose weight.
I just never felt like myself. I just didn't feel like, that wasn't in my head who I thought I was. So that's why I think there was just a big disconnect for me. And maybe it took that mean girl at the spa to really, so that's why it's always funny for me, because when you hear these, like, body shaming stories and people say how bad, I'm just kind of like, well, I always feel hypocritical saying anything about it, because like, well, geez, had she been nice to me and just given me a bigger robe, who knows where I'd be today.
That's true.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think everything, I agree. They say when it happens for a reason, maybe that, that was the reason. But I am very proud that I took a moment that could have just, I could have gone home, cried, felt sorry for myself, just had a bad day,
Right.
and channeled that into something positive for me and for the people who follow me, and that means a lot. That's like, to know that you've really inspired other people.
Yeah, it's like an extra gift. I mean, you got already the gift of getting your life back, getting your health back, and now it's like it just keeps paying, being able to pay it forward.
Right. And so, that's what I try to do. But I think that this was, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed getting to to do this with you, and we
haven't had a chance. It was nice that we got a little chance to talk beforehand, and we will. I think you and I will talk about other ways. I think folks that are listening, if they want to hear more from you and I think there's some great opportunities for us to get out and share. The interesting thing Charlene and I ever talk about is the perspective from a male perspective and a female perspective of this, because we want people to be able to relate, and we want people to be able to understand that. Again, we've talked about this. Everybody's journey is a little different. The emotions are different. The why is different. So, I had a great time. I was so excited. I was like, yes, Charlene's going to do it. And I'm glad that we were able to get to happen. So cool.
Me too.
Well, yeah. So let's get one more. We're going to do a plug for your stuff. So FBJ.com.
Nope. FBJFit.com.
FBJFit.com. Yes. Thank you.
Right, and I'm at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at FBJFit and Charlene Bazarian on YouTube.
I can't believe I screwed up. I have it written down too.
FBJFit. That's okay. So they would find it. Yes, and it's and I also if you follow me on Facebook, you'll also see some of because I post the articles that I write for women's fitness there, and some of the other articles I've written. So I write fitness pieces for me, for my blog and for other places too, and so I try to put that out there as well. And so we'll do like workouts or just different tips or stories and advice, and so it's fun to do.
Yeah, and so guys and gals, and guys too, follow Charlene, because I'm telling you, she's got a lot of great tips. I learn all the time from her. Especially, I love her sayings. She's got some quirky thoughts that really make you think. So, and I like that because it's some of that the little humor about life that makes you not take it too seriously. Because
I always laugh because it sticks with people. I mean, I just have funny ways of putting it, but I'll be like, make your workouts like brushing teeth, just something you don't think about, you just do it, or busier than a fit person, or just those kinds of things will come to people when they're trying to, have that argument, do I want to work out today? And I always say, don't have that talk with yourself. It's not, am I going to work out? It's what kind of workout am I going to do? So maybe today you're not totally feeling a heavy workout. Maybe today's a walk. Maybe it's but it's going to be something. So that's my take on it.
It's great food for thought, and I love it.
And
well, Charlene,
I do have a really good male base of followers too, because I don't try to. It's not just a gender thing, but I do like that we both get to give different sides of the coin and how that works. But It was a lot of fun. So
it was a lot of fun. Yeah. No, thank you for your time. And stick on the call for a second, and we just chat before we wrap up. But guys, thank you, Charlene. And as I always say, stay awesome.
Thank you.
All right.